What if I told you that 3 battles, fought on 3 different continents, transformed a small island kingdom into the largest empire the world had ever seen? One battle decided who would rule India, one battle broke the greatest navy in Europe, and one battle ended a tyrant who had nearly conquered the world. Without these 3 clashes, the British Empire, the empire where the sun never set, might never have existed. Tonight we step onto the battlefields of Battle of Plassey, Battle of Trafalgar, and Battle of Waterloo. 3 battles, 3 turning points, 1 empire. Let's begin in the sweltering heat of India. 1. The battle that won, India Battle of Plassey, 1757. In 1757, Britain did not rule India. It wasn't even close. The subcontinent was dominated by powerful regional rulers and the fading but still prestigious Mughal Empire. The British presence came through a trading corporation, the British East India Company, merchants, not emperors. But trade brings power, and power breeds tension. In Bengal, one of the richest provinces in the world, the young Nawab Siraj-ud-Dowlah grew suspicious of British fortifications in Calcutta. He attacked. The British retreated. London demanded revenge. A young, ambitious officer named Robert Clive sailed into history. Clive did not have overwhelming numbers, about 3,000 men, including British soldiers and Indian sepoys. Facing him were roughly 50,000 troops loyal to Siraj-ud-Dowlah. On paper, this was suicide, but Clive understood something crucial. Wars are not only won with cannons, they are won with alliances. Behind the scenes, he negotiated with discontented Bengali nobles, including Mir Jafar, promising him power in exchange for betrayal. On June 23, 1757, near the village of Plassey, the armies met. Rain soaked the battlefield. The Nawab's forces hesitated. Mir Jafar's troops stood idle. When British artillery resumed firing after the storm, Siraj-ud-Dowlah realized too late. He had been betrayed. The battle lasted only hours. Its consequences lasted nearly 2 centuries. After Plassey, the British East India Company gained control over Bengal's immense wealth. That revenue funded future wars, expansion, and political dominance. Plassey was not just a battle. It was the financial foundation of the British Empire in Asia. From that day forward, Britain was no longer just a trading nation in India. It was a ruling power. But wealth is useless without security, and for that, Britain needed control of the seas. 2. The battle that ruled the seas, Battle of Trafalgar, 1805. By 1805, Europe trembled before one man, Napoleon Bonaparte. France had defeated Austria. Prussia would soon fall. Spain was aligned with Napoleon. Only Britain remained defiant. But Napoleon had a plan: invade Britain itself. To do that, he needed temporary control of the English Channel. Standing in his way was the Royal Navy, led by Admiral Horatio Nelson. On October 21, 1805, off the coast of Spain near Cape Trafalgar, 27 British ships faced 33 French and Spanish vessels. Traditionally, naval fleets lined up parallel and exchanged cannon fire. Nelson did something radical. He split his fleet into 2 columns and sailed directly into the enemy line, breaking it apart at close range. It was risky. It exposed his ships to heavy fire, but British crews were faster, better trained, and deadlier at close quarters. By the end of the battle, 18 enemy ships were captured or destroyed. Not a single British ship was lost. Nelson himself was shot by a French sniper and died aboard HMS Victory, but not before learning that victory was certain. Trafalgar destroyed Napoleon's hopes of invading Britain. More importantly, it guaranteed British naval supremacy for over a century. The oceans became Britain's highways. Trade flourished. Colonies expanded. The empire connected continents. Without Trafalgar, Britain might have been invaded. Without naval supremacy, there is no global empire. But one threat still remained: Napoleon himself. 3. The battle that secured Europe, Battle of Waterloo, 1815. Napoleon had been defeated once and exiled to Elba. But in 1815, he returned. For 100 days, Europe held its breath. The Duke of Wellington, Arthur Wellesley, prepared his multinational army in present-day Belgium. On June 18, 1815, near the village of Waterloo, Napoleon attacked. The battle was brutal. French cavalry charged British infantry squares again and again. Artillery thundered. Mud slowed movement. Casualties mounted. Wellington's forces were strained to breaking point. Then, in the late afternoon, the Prussian army under Gebhard Leberecht von Blücher arrived. Napoleon's right flank collapsed. The Imperial Guard, his elite troops, made one final assault. They were repulsed. For the first time in history, the Imperial Guard retreated. Panic spread. The French army broke. Napoleon fled. Soon after, he surrendered and was exiled permanently to St. Helena. Waterloo ended 23 years of nearly constant war in Europe, and it left Britain as the dominant global power. The 19th century would become known as the Pax Britannica, a century of relative peace enforced largely by British naval and financial power. Plassey gave Britain wealth. Trafalgar gave Britain the seas. Waterloo gave Britain security in Europe: money, navy, stability. With those three pillars, the British Empire expanded across India, Africa, Canada, Australia, and beyond. By 1920, it covered nearly a quarter of the Earth's land surface, all from 3 battlefields. And here's the question that changes everything. What if just one of these battles had gone differently? If Siraj-ud-Dowlah had not been betrayed, if Nelson had lost at sea, if Napoleon had broken Wellington's line, there may have been no British century, no global dominance, no empire where the sun never set. History turns on moments. If you enjoy true cinematic stories about the battles that shaped our world, subscribe now, because next week we're uncovering the battle that destroyed an empire just as powerful. And trust me, that story might change the way you see history forever.